I wish.
Hollywood director Rob Reiner spearheaded the effort to get the Universal Preschool Initiative on the June 6th ballot, but critics give the measure low marks. Good evening, I'm Rebecca Tolan. On tonight's Full Focus, we'll talk about the pros and cons of Proposition 82. Also on the education front, the allure of charter schools and how the personalized learning centers are causing enrollment to dip at San Diego City schools. And later, the legacy of singer-songwriter Jim Croce. But first, Proposition 82 addresses the youngest California students. It would fund free half-day preschool to every 4-year-old in the state by 2010. Classes would be limited to 20 children, staffed with a credentialed teacher and an assistant. So how would it be funded? $2.4 billion would come from taxes on wealthy residents. Joining me now to debate the merits of Prop 82 are Lisa Snell, Director of Education and Child Welfare at the Reason Foundation, and Tiffany Cooper-Ortega, a second-grade teacher at Del Rio Elementary School in Oceanside. Well, welcome to you both.
Thank you very much for having us.
Let's just start out briefly with this question. How would Prop 82 change the current system? Let's start with you, Tiffany.
The current system does not provide for a universal plan for preschool for all 4-year-olds in California. There are programs that are state-funded programs for low-income families, but this program would provide universal access for all children in California, all 4-year-olds.
And Lisa, do you agree with that, or do you have a different take on what it would do?
No, that's correct. That's what it would do. Basically, right now, 66% of preschoolers in California are in preschool. The problem is it wouldn't focus on the most disadvantaged children. It would actually provide free preschool for many children that already attend instead of focusing intensively on low-income and disadvantaged children.
Okay. Well, proponents, Tiffany, argue that Prop 82 would help narrow the achievement gap between rich and poor, between whites and minorities. How would this idea of universal preschool, even for a half day, accomplish that?
Well, I am a second-grade teacher, and I'm technically a kindergarten teacher who has looped with my students for 3 years. And I can tell you as a kindergarten teacher, it's obvious to me, the students that have come in with preschool experience. They are ready to learn, they hit the ground running, and with that foundation, they are able to move forward faster throughout their academic experience.
Is there any research to substantiate that those gains continue on through the later grades?
Yes, there are actually a number of studies. One such study is the Chicago longitudinal study, which I know you're familiar with, that continues even after K-12, and it shows improved attendance at a 4-year college, multiple benefits from that compared to those children that don't receive preschool. And for another example, from the National Institute of Early Childhood Education, it showed that children that received preschool had a 30 to 40% increase in their vocabulary skills and their math skills than those that did not receive preschool. And that is across the board, any gender, any race, any ethnicity.
Lisa, I know there's different studies, and sometimes studies could even be interpreted differently. Do you disagree that the universal preschool could actually help give students a leg up as they continue through K-12?
You know, I think it's an admirable goal, but it hasn't been a silver bullet for reading achievement. One of the main arguments for universal preschool in California is that it will help us on the National Assessment of Education Progress, where we rank 44th. But Oklahoma and Georgia, that have had universal preschool in place for several years, they're still having difficulty with their ranking. In fact, they're both in the bottom 10. And they actually lost proficiency points in Oklahoma after they made the investment in universal preschool. So, you know, I think it's the experience of the idea of hope, but it hasn't proved out. It has had gains in terms of special education and having to repeat a grade, but the actual academic gains have faded out in many cases by 3rd grade in many different studies.
Now, I know another concern of yours, Lisa, is the funding model. Right. Why do you oppose the wealthiest Californians paying for this?
Well, the reason is because right now, like I said before, we have 66% of kids, and what will happen with this $24 billion is that it will be diluted over all kids. And if this is really a value that we hold, we shouldn't do it through ballot box budgeting, where we pick on one class of people that we continually go to again and again to fund things in California. Last year we had the 1% increase for the mental health tax. These people are the most fluent in the terms of the fact that they can leave the state. And if one millionaire leaves the state of California, we don't just lose the 1.7% tax, we lose the entire 11% in taxes that they would pay.
Tiffany, are you concerned about that focusing on the wealthiest Californians would cause them to leave the state?
Well, obviously, I would not, recommend picking on any one population in our state. This would not pick on, to use your words, 99.4% of our population. It would be 0.6%. And if you look at a study, the last available results of who pays taxes in California, the lowest 20%, I believe it is, pays 11% of their income in taxes, whereas the highest 1% pays 7% of their income in taxes. So there's disparity there. I also would like to address the 66% already attend preschool. I would never disparage my colleagues. However, a lot of those preschools are not quality preschools. They may be quality as far as parental observations and things such as that. However, they do not conform to state standards. There are state preschool standards that are not being enforced at those places, and they do not have credentialed quality teachers.
Okay, so I know that that's one key component of this, which is part of the reason it's fairly expensive. Now, this money, $2.4 billion, you believe could be better spent. How?
Well, it's not so much that it would be better spent, it's that the legislature should be the one to decide how it would be spent. And if Arnold Schwarzenegger had raised taxes by 1.7%, K-12 schools, from another constitutional amendment, Proposition 98, would have gotten 40% of that funding. There's lots of competing claims on those resources for social services, transportation, health care. And here we are having lockbox budgeting, where if we have an earthquake, if we have a downturn in the economy, that $24 billion can never be touched, and legislators who should be appropriating those funds can't make decisions. It's done through the state constitution instead.
So what do you think about that, Tiffany? Schwarzenegger is proposing funding preschool for low-income families specifically in his next budget. Would that be more efficient, specifically to target low income instead of all levels?
I don't think there's an argument about whether or not it would be specific to that level. However, he in his address about the May revise recognized that quality preschools are necessary in order to increase achievement. And so I just wanted to be sure that those are universally accessible. And one of the things that confuses me is that I hear that legislators should be making the budget. However, we elect those legislators, and we uniformly defeated the Prop 76, which would cut educational funding. And so it seems to me that there are a group of people that oppose educational funding at any level if it involves any form of taxes.
Well, we are going to have to wrap it up there, but thank you so much both for joining us, Lisa Snell and Tiffany Cooper-Ortega. We appreciate you sharing your views on Prop 82.
Thank you very much.
To summarize, a yes vote means the state would make a free, voluntary, half-day public preschool program available to all 4-year-olds. The state would impose a new tax on high-income taxpayers to pay for the new program. In addition to Prop 82, Californians will be voting on Proposition 81, the Library Bond Act. A yes vote on Prop 81 means the state could sell $600 million to bonds to provide grants to local agencies for construction, renovation, and expansion of local library facilities. Coming up next, the story behind declining enrollment at city schools. Many parents looking for smaller class sizes and more personal attention are turning to charter schools. There are already 34 charters in the city of San Diego, and the number is growing. It's enough to catch the attention of San Diego Unified School District Superintendent Carl Cohn. He's concerned charters are taking too many students away from traditional public schools. KPBS reporter Anna Tintakoulis covered the story for radio and is here with an update. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you.
Well, let's lay the groundwork, because I think a lot of people don't understand understand what charter schools are. And although they're publicly funded, they're quite different from traditional public schools, aren't they?
Yeah, a lot of charter school principals will tell you that they are their own district, basically.